My name is Robyn and I have a urea cycle disorder, which is called ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency, and I live in the state of Washington. I discovered that I had OTC after I had given birth to my fourth child. I had three normal, healthy pregnancies, and the children were fine. And my son, my fourth, um, started getting sick about 24 hours after he was born. And it was just one crisis after another. The doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And unfortunately, he passed away when he was 3 days old. So after um, choosing to have an autopsy done and DNA studies, that's when it was discovered that I was a carrier of OTC. OTC is a lot more harder to control in males. Since it's X-linked, a lot of males, because they carry that Y, um, have a hard time just surviving it. There's a lot of them end up having to have um, liver transplants. A lot of them suffer a lot of hyperammonemic episodes and become brain damaged. They can be, it can be really, really devastating for families. With the girls, since they carry that extra chromosome there, it's a lot easier. There are some girls that can run into a lot of problems though too. I know many girls that have had to have transplants and have discovered most of us have a lot of learning disabilities. We SLD, specific learning disorder, executive functioning skills, things like that. A lot of us are uh, on IEPs growing up, and things like that. So it's just it's really, really hard for the males. I don't know personally too many males that have it, but yeah, it's pretty devastating for the boys. Learning about family planning was really difficult. It was so many years ago when it was discovered. There really wasn't a lot of information out there. Basically, I was just told that it was a 50-50 chance. That's all I was told. I After I'd lost my son, when I went in for my 6-week checkup, I was pregnant again. So that was like really hard because I didn't even know then that I was a carrier. We hadn't gotten all the results back yet. And so um, that was really difficult. I chose just to find out the sex of the baby, and then through just ultrasound and things like that. And then when they did tell me I was having a boy, he was monitored very closely afterwards, and he was fine. So we were very thankful for that. But there wasn't really anything out there back then for me. So that's kind of a tricky question. Well, after I'd had my fifth son, and he was okay. Unfortunately, losing a child is really hard, and losing one is really hard on a marriage. And I got divorced, and it was like 6 years later. There had been some new developments in urea cycle disorders. I had remarried. My new husband and I, Michael, who I'm with now, um, we decided to have a child. So we met with genetic counselor and our physician and everything, and they said they told us all about the new stuff, and so we said, okay, let's go for it. And I was approached at first to have the chorionic villus sampling, which after sitting down with the doctor, I got all the way to Seattle, was all ready for my appointment, drinking all the water and everything. And then when they sat down and told me all the risks that were involved, that I was just like, I don't want to do this. I was like, even if my baby's sick, I said, I'm not going to terminate my pregnancy. There's some new stuff out there, and I want to give my baby that fighting chance. And so I chose no. I said, let's do an amniocentesis. And, further along in my pregnancy, they explained to me, that the risks involved in that, and they were pretty minor. And that would give if I were to go into labor, that would give my baby more of a chance to not have any complications due to like premature birth or stuff like that, because the baby would be pretty much fully developed, because they said that they would do that when I was 7 months pregnant. And so that's what I chose to do. So for me, it was a very positive experience, and I would do it again if I had to. That was the right choice for me at that time. And I can't remember when I got the results back, but they were, I'm going to say 3 weeks. It was a long time ago. And my baby was affected. My baby was affected. So which was good, because they were on top of things. They knew what to do immediately after he was born. So I was glad that I did it. So they started treating my son right away. And he did fairly well until he had to have a liver transplant, unfortunately, and we lost him after that. So that was pretty much, my experience. I'm glad I did it. It did give him a fighting chance. I didn't have any, I think emotional was probably my biggest struggle, only because, you know, choosing to have a baby when you have an X-linked illness, you know, defect, whatever you want to call it, you get a lot of crap from people, unfortunately. I can't believe you're still having kids when you know what the outcome could be and things like that. So um, that for me was the most challenging. Financially, insurance covered everything. So that was my biggest struggle, is just the comments from people. So that's what I struggled with the most. I think just being more educated about it. So many years ago, there just wasn't any information out there. And just, I mean, my physicians were very good to me as far as explaining the processes of everything, like CVS and amnio. But as far as like genetic counseling and things like that, they really weren't there wasn't a lot of information out there. So I think just being more educated about your choices and things like that would be, more beneficial. I would just say just to ask questions, make sure all your questions are answered. Be your own advocate. And an amniocentesis is a very, I think it's a great experience. It doesn't hurt. It's not like a little pinch, and you're going to just find out so much more about your baby through this process, which is great. So for me, I mean, I just get all those questions answered.